Yeah. Hi guys, good morning. Yeah, guys, in the last session, we discussed about AWS RDS. What is the meaning of what is the meaning of RDS? RDS stands for relational database. So instead of creating the database in our local machine, instead of setting up the database in our local machine, we are going for database setup in the cloud. What is the advantage if we set up the database in the cloud? So here, if you go for the database in the cloud, the maintenance will be taken care by cloud platform. So the backup, maintenance, security, everything will be taken care by cloud platform. So we are able to create the database and we are able to connect with the database by using Workbench, and we configured database details in the boot application and we are able to communicate with the database. So in the real time, for every application, as we discussed, multiple environments will be available. For the dev environment, they will create one DB instance. Dev DB will be created. It will have its own endpoint. Dev DB endpoint will be available. Similarly, SIT environment. When the application is testing by the testers, that will be in the SIT environment. For the SIT environment, SITDB will be created. SITDB will have its own endpoint. That means for every environment, separated database instance will be created. So when the database instance is created, for that instance, one endpoint will be generated and credentials will be available. We need to configure those database endpoint details in our application.properties file so that our application can connect with that particular database. So RDS service is a paid service, guys. Once your practice is completed, then delete the database. Select the database, action, delete. So it is asking to confirm the delete, type delete me. Now I'm giving delete me and click on delete so that whatever the database that we created, that will be deleted from the cloud. So that bill will not be generated. The next service that is IAM in the AWS cloud. So what is IAM and why we need to go for IAM? IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. It is used to create users, user groups and policies. Now in our project, assume that multiple team members are available. Okay, multiple team members are available in our project, and in our project we are using AWS cloud platform. So in order to work with AWS cloud platform, we need to create the account in the AWS cloud. We have already created one account in the AWS cloud platform. So here in the AWS cloud, there are two types of accounts will be available. So if you want to use AWS cloud, there are two types of accounts available. The first account is called as root account. The first account is called as root account, and the second account is called as IAM account. Whenever you create account in the AWS cloud, by default, that account will be considered as a root account. This root account is very powerful account in the AWS cloud. It will have access for everything in the AWS cloud. So now, whenever you create the account in the AWS cloud, you will try to log in into that account. Now here, there are two options available. Do you want to log in as root user or do you want to log in as IAM user? Whatever the account we have by default, that will come under root account. To log in into the AWS with the root account, we will use email ID and password. Okay, then we can log in. Once we log in into the root account, we have access for everything in the AWS cloud. Whatever the services are available in the AWS, we can access all those services by using root account. But In the real time, root account credentials will not be shared with the team members. Company will maintain the root account only to pay the bills in the AWS cloud. We are going to work in the project as a team member. We are going to work in the project as a team member. When we work in the project as a team member, we are not going to get the root account credentials. What they will do is, for example, this person is John and this person is Smith. Two people are available, John and Smith. John and Smith are the team members. They are working in the project. They need to perform operations in the AWS cloud. Root account will be available. That will be maintained by company. For our day-to-day activities, we cannot go with the root account. Root account is very powerful account. We can access everything available in the AWS cloud by using this root account. Next one, for the team members, IAM account will be created. When we are creating IAM account, we are going to specify what operation this user can do in the AWS. Suppose John is available, John can work with only RDS service in the AWS cloud. I will give permission for only RDS service for John. And Smith is available. For Smith, I will give the permission only for EC2 service. So when John logged into the AWS cloud, that person should log in the AWS as IAM user. For that person, access will be provided only for RDS. That means with John account, that person can perform operation only in the RDS service. He cannot perform operations in the other service. Similarly, when Smith logged into the application, for Smith, I am going to provide the access for EC2. So Smith can perform operations only on the EC2 service, not on the other service. Like this, we can manage users, user groups, and user permissions in the AWS by using IAM. So IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. It is used to create users, user groups, and user permissions. When we create account in the AWS, by default, that account is called as root account. When we sign up in AWS, by default, we will get root account. By default, we are going to get the root account. So root account is very powerful account. Root account is very powerful account. Why I am saying it is powerful account? We can access everything. We can access everything in AWS using root account. In the company, root account credentials will not be given to the team members. We are going to work as a team member in the project. So for team members, root account credentials will not be shared. Will not be shared. Because if you do some mistake, then whole project will be affected or lot of bill will be generated. That's why for team members, root account credentials will not be shared. For every team member, IAM account will be created. For every team member, IAM account will be created. Root account will be used by the company. They are using that root account only to pay the bills that are generated in the AWS. In the project, we are going to use some paid services. When we use paid service, bill will be generated. To pay the bill amount, then they are going to use the root account. For daily activities, whatever the operations that we are performing in the project on daily basis, for the daily operations, root account cannot be used. We are going for IAM account. For every team member, IAM account will be created. For daily activities in the AWS, for daily activities in AWS cloud, we will use IAM accounts. We will use IAM accounts only, not the root account. Root account is very powerful account. So we cannot get the access for the root account. So in the company, what people will do is, as a root account is very powerful account, we need to provide some additional security for the root account. For example, if you see, if you know my account email ID and my account password, then you can log in into my account. That is a root account. So security is not there. That means high level security is not available. If you see my email ID and password, then you can log in into my AWS account. You can perform any operation in the AWS because my account is root account. So that's why to provide additional security, as root account is powerful account, as root account is powerful account, we need to provide high security for root account. As root account is powerful account, I'm getting some noise. Keep quiet, guys. As root account is powerful account, we need to provide high security for the root account. So how we will provide high security for the root account? So to provide a high security, for root account, we can use MFA, that is multi-factor authentication. If you know email ID and password, still you cannot log in into my root account because I'm going to enable multi-factor authentication. So now see how we are going to enable multi-factor authentication for the root account. Why we need to enable multi-factor authentication for the root account? So people should not access our root account even though they know about our credentials. Now let us see here. Go to IAM. So you can search for that service in the AWS cloud. So once you log in the AWS account, go to services or go to search option, go for IAM, manage access to AWS resources, go to the IAM, identity and access management. Now here, what is the option that I'm getting here? Add MFA for root user. Add MFA for root user, enable multi-factor authentication for the root user to improve security for this account. As we discussed, root account is powerful account. We can do everything with the root account. So I don't want anybody to access my root account to log in into the AWS cloud. For that, I can go for MFA. MFA stands for multi-factor authentication. Now, let me click on add MFA. Okay. So when I click on add MFA, it is asking you don't have MFA assigned for your account. Okay. Do you want to add MFA for your account? Yes. Assign MFA. Click on assign MFA. When I click on assign MFA, there are three options are available. One is authenticator app. Second one is by using some security key. Third one is by using some hardware token. You might have seen in the movies when they want to log in into some bank accounts or when they want to enter into some room, a device will be available. They will get the OTP. I think in Telugu Nanak Premato movie, when the hero trying to steal the money from the villain account, he will have a device. When he log in into the bank account, he will get a OTP to the device, right? So that a hardware TOTP token will be available. So in the company, some projects will have that devices also. They will give the device for you. When you try to log in, you will get a OTP to the device. Now we can't go with the device. Now I'm going for authenticator application. Okay. So here, open your mobile. Then in our mobile, we can install one application that is called Google Authenticator. There is an application called Google Authenticator. So now here I'm going for Authenticator app. Click on next. Device name it is asking. I'm going to specify my device name as Google Authenticator app. Now, when you try to log in into my account, I will get a code for my Authenticator application. If I enter that code, then only I can log in into AWS. Otherwise, we cannot log in. So let me go for Authenticator application. Click on next. Now it is asking, boss, scan your QR code. It is going to generate a QR code. You open your device. You need to open the Authenticator app in the mobile. It will generate a QR code. Now I am going to scan that QR code by using my mobile. When I generate that, when I scan that, it has given me 2 OTPs. I have to enter those OTPs here. Now 2 codes it is going to ask 943422 and next one 224347. Okay, click on add MFA. Error occurred. 1 minute. Let me scan it again. Yes. Now it is asking me the code 511442 and the next one 855577. Okay, click on add MFA. What happened? Let me do that once again. Assign MFA, device name, app, authenticator app. Click on next. Show the code. Guys, you don't scan that. If you scan, it will not work for me. You don't do that. Anyone from online scanning that? The codes are not working for me, guys. Let me do that once again. Yeah. Yeah, fine, guys. So with this, I'm able to add my MFA device. Now, let me sign out from the account. I added MFA for that. Go to log back in, enter the email ID and enter the password. Click on sign in. So what it is asking now, your account is secured with the MFA. To finish sign in, turn on your MFA device, type the code below. So whenever you open that app, one code will be generated. That code, if you enter, then only it will allow you to log in. For every 30 seconds, a new code will be generated. Code will be valid only for 30 seconds. Now, so a code got generated. Let me go for 903 and 643. That's it. Click on submit. Now I'm able to log in into my AWS account. So like this, for root account, we are going to provide multi-factor authentication. We can use Google Authenticator app to provide MFA for root account. Got my point? Yes. Now we are talking about IAM. What is the full form of IAM? IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. It is used to create the users, user groups, and user permissions. When we sign up in the AWS, by default, we will get the root account. Root account is very powerful account. We can access everything in AWS using root account. For team members, root account credentials will not be shared. For every team member, IAM account will be created. For daily activities in AWS cloud, we will use IAM accounts only, not the root account. Root account only used for paying the bills in the cloud. Root account is powerful, so we need to provide high security for the root account. To provide high security for the root account, we are going to enable MFA. To enable the MFA, we are using Google Authenticator application. Got it? Now, I logged in into application with root account. Let me go for IAM. Now I want to create users by using IAM. Okay. So now go for users. There are several users available. Let me delete all of them. Click on delete. So now all the user accounts got deleted. Okay, fine. Now let me create one user. Click on add user, username. You can give anything for that. Now here, whenever we are creating any IAM account, guys, two types of permissions will be available. Now here in the AWS cloud, we can access this AWS cloud from the web console. Web console means from the browser, we are able to log in the AWS cloud. That is called web console access. Okay. And the next one, we can access AWS cloud from command line. AWS CLI will be available. And we can access AWS cloud from SDK. That means from Java application, I want to access AWS cloud. From Python application, I want to access AWS cloud. So that is called SDK. And third option is available. We can access AWS cloud from Terraform also, right? So these are different ways that we can access our AWS cloud platform. Now, when we are creating the account in the AWS cloud, they are going to ask you, do you want to provide console access for the IAM user? What is the meaning of console access for the IAM user? So do you want to allow that user to access your cloud from the web browser or not? So when I am creating username, it is asking, do you want to provide user access to AWS management console? It is optional. Okay. If I don't select this option, then what will happen? That person cannot log in into the AWS from the browser, but he can access AWS cloud from the CLI. He can access from SDK and he can access from the Terraform. Now here, if you want to provide web console access for the user, then here email ID will be, username will be available and password will be available to access AWS cloud from the web console. Username will be available and password will be available in order to access AWS cloud from the web console. Suppose I want to communicate with the AWS cloud from my Java application, right? Then we are going to generate a concept called access key, and secret access key will be available. So here, if you want to communicate with the cloud from the Java project, we have a requirement in the CO module. We need to upload the notice in the AWS S3 bucket. That means our Java application should communicate with the AWS cloud. For that, AWS SDK is available. That is a dependency. How we are adding Hibernate dependency, security dependency. Similarly, AWS SDK dependency is available. By using that dependency, we can communicate from Java application to cloud platform. If you want to do such kind of communication, you need to generate access key and secret access key. Okay, so I'm trying to create users. Currently here in the IAM, there are no users are available. No users available in my account. Click on add user. You can give any name for the user. I'm giving the user name and provide access to management console. When I provide access per management console, I want to create an IAM user. What is the password you want for the user? I have given the username as Ashok and password I am going to give some value. Okay, and here you can see Ashok at the rate 123 and show password, and here there is an option. Can you read this option? User must create a new password at the next sign in. That means, so I'm creating one IAM user, username is available, password is available. If I select this option, when you log in into the account, immediately it will ask you to update your password. If I don't select this option, you can continue with the same password. You no need to change that. Okay, let me select this. User must create a new password at the next sign in. Now I'm trying to create a username and password, and user must create a new password at the next sign in. Click on next. Now, okay. So here it is asking, do you want to add user to a group? If you have some group like DevOps group, database group, networking group, you can add the user to the group. Do you want to copy the permissions from the existing user, or you want to attach policies directly? Policy is nothing but what operation that user should perform in the AWS cloud. So let me go here, attach policies directly. How many policies are available? 1000 policies are available here. These all are provided by AWS cloud. Let me search for a policy EC2. Amazon EC2 full access policy is available. What is the meaning of Amazon EC2 full access? That person can do anything in the EC2 service, but not on the other services. Now click on Amazon EC2 full access. Right? Click on next. Username is available, password is available, password reset is available, Amazon EC2 full access is provided. Click on create user. Now user got created. This is the URL to log in into the AWS as a IAM user. Copy this URL, console sign in URL to access our AWS cloud account. Username is available and password is available. Copy the username, then copy the password. Show the password Ashok at the rate 123. Okay, I have given the details. Here if you observe, this is called account ID. This is called root account ID. Whenever you create an account, by default one account ID will be generated. That account ID is called as root account ID. If you want to log in into the AWS as a IAM user, this root account ID is mandatory. Okay, so if you have this URL, then no problem. If you don't have this URL, account ID is required for you to log in, because Ashok user is not a root user now. Ashok user is a IAM user. Now let me log out. Now I want to log in into AWS cloud. So there are two options available. Do you want to log in as a root user, or do you want to log in as a IAM user? If I select root user, it is taking email ID and password. If I go for IAM user, what it is asking now? See here, this is called DOM manipulation, guys. When I select root user checkbox, it is asking to enter email ID. When I select IAM, it is asking to enter account ID. So is the page reloading or page not reloading? Page not reloading, but content is loading. The DOM element is getting updated. DOM manipulation. When I select root user, asking to enter the email ID. When I select IAM user, asking to enter the account ID. Okay. Now let me take my root account ID. Enter the account ID. Click on next. What it is asking now? Email ID or username? Username. So I have given the username as Ashok. Okay. Password Ashok at the rate 123. Observe carefully. Click on sign in. Immediately what it is doing? It is asking me to update the password. Why? At the time of user creation, I have given the option when the next time user login, he has to change the password. Now let me change the password. Old password, new password. confirm password. Password change. Is it changed? One minute. IAM user, enter the account ID, username, password. Yeah, it is asking me to enter the old password. My old password is Ashok@123. New password. Yeah, my account password got changed successfully. Okay, now you see this is the root account. What it is displaying now? IAM user. So by clicking on your profile, you can check that whether this account is root account or IAM account. When I logged in as a root user, it was displaying only account ID. When I logged in as a IAM user, it is displaying my username. Fine. Now for this Ashok user, I have given one policy called EC2 access. So that means this person can do only operations on the EC2. For example, if I go to another service called RDS, when I go for RDS service, observe what it is going to display. I'm trying to access RDS service. Now, let us try to see the databases which are available. What it is telling, guys? You can't even see what are the databases available in the account, because whatever the account I logged in, that account does not have the permission for RDS service. So let me go for another service called S3. Do I have the permission for the S3? No, I don't have permission for the S3. Try to go for S3, see the buckets. What it is saying that you don't have permission to list the buckets. So what permission I have? EC2. I can see what are the instances available. I can create the instance. I can stop the instance. I can restart. I can delete. So I can create the key pairs like that. So based on your role in the company, they will create the account and they will give the policy for you. Okay. So currently I created IAM account. I have provided web console access. Username is available. Password is available. In future, I want to communicate with the AWS cloud from my Java application. Then what is required? Access key and secret access keys are required. Okay. So let us see how to do that. Go sign out, login. Now I need to log in as a root user to provide the access for the secret keys. Now signing into AWS using root user email ID and password. Now what it is asking? MFA. Why MFA? I have enabled security. I have added MFA for this multi-factor authentication. I should go for my Google Authenticator app and I will get the MFA code. I need to enter that code here. Yeah, submit. I logged in into my root account. Now you see account ID is displaying. IAM account is not displaying. That means it is a root account. Now go to IAM. So go to IAM and see the user which we have created. So users, you can see one user is available. Go to the user. For the user, what we have provided? Console access provided without MFA. For IAM account also, we can enable multi-factor authentication. And the next one, what are the permissions policies are available? That user having the permission for EC2 full access and password change permission is available. Now, okay, we are good. Web console access we have provided. That person is able to log in into AWS cloud by using console access. Now here, in future, I want to communicate with the AWS cloud from the Java application. I want to insert one record into database table. Sorry, I want to upload one document into S3 bucket. I want to perform operations on the AWS cloud through program. So now my IAM account is having only console access. I need to provide programmatic access for that. To provide the programmatic access, there is an option called security credentials are available. Click on security credentials. Okay, here access keys. Currently access keys available or not available? Not available. Create access key. Now here I'm going to create the access key for the CLI. Okay, click on understand, next. Access key tab. You can give any name for that and click on create access key. When I create the access key, you can see access key generated, secret access key also generated. In future, if you want to communicate with AWS cloud from the Java application or Python or from any other programming language, you need IAM account with access credentials. Now here my access key is generated. This is called access key. And next one is secret access key is available. Let me go here. Secret access key is available. We need to note down access key and secret access key. By using these details, we can communicate with the AWS cloud from our Java application. I think in the GitHub, already I have uploaded one project related to this. Let me check this. GitHub AWS S3 bucket example I have done. Yeah. So what is this? Spring Boot S3 application. In our correspondence module, we have a requirement. Whatever the notice is generated, that notice we need to upload into AWS S3 bucket. That means my Spring Boot application should communicate with the S3 service to upload the document. Okay. Now go here, Spring Boot application, go to pom.xml. In the pom.xml, if you see here, what is the dependency I have added? What is the dependency? AWS Java SDK. How we are adding Spring Boot dependencies, Lombok dependencies, AWS SDK dependency is available. What is the purpose of AWS SDK dependency? That provides set of classes and interfaces to communicate with the AWS cloud. We need to add the dependency in the pom.xml. Only dependency not sufficient. Secret keys are required. Go to our resources folder, main resources. In the resources folder, you can see access key, secret key, bucket name, and region. Whatever the access key, secret keys are available, we need to configure them in our properties file. By using those access keys and secret keys, our Java application can communicate with the AWS cloud. So let me come to coding part. So here, if you see util class is available, S3 util. So here, this is the logic that we are using, S3. So there is a predefined class, Amazon S3 class is available. We are importing the package. Amazon S3 dot put object. I want to upload that object into S3 bucket. So how we are communicating with the database? By using JDBC interfaces. Similarly, we can communicate with AWS cloud by using AWS cloud provided classes and interfaces. To work with AWS cloud from the Java, AWS SDK we need to add, and these secret keys are required. Console access, programmatic access. For console access, username and password is required. For programmatic access, access key and secret access keys are required. How to generate the secret keys? So once you go to IAM user, here you can see security credential option is available. Go to security credentials, here access keys are available. If I delete these access keys, then I can generate one more access key. I have deactivated the access keys. Create access key. Command line interface. Now click on this and click on next. Click on create access key. Access key created, secret access key got generated. We need to note down that access key and secret access key if you want to communicate with the AWS cloud through SDK. If you want to communicate with the AWS cloud from the console, then username and password is required. So tomorrow, who is going to do all these operations in the project? DevOps people. DevOps people will be available. If you need IAM account, you cannot create the account in the AWS directly because you are a developer. So DevOps people will be available. Those people will create the IAM account in the AWS. Those people will give you the policies, which is service that you need to access in the AWS cloud. If you want programmatic access, then they will generate secret credentials for your account and they will provide those credentials for you. By using those credentials, you can communicate with the cloud from your Spring Boot application. We need to do that in our major project. In the correspondence module, we have this requirement. So whatever the PDF we are generating, that PDF we need to store into S3 bucket. What is S3? We will understand. Okay. So you got the clarity. What is IAM? Why we need to go for IAM? Come on, guys. What is IAM and why we need to go for IAM? What is IAM? IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. What is the purpose of this IAM? Which is used to create the users, user groups, and user policies, right? So now in the AWS, we have two types of accounts. What are those two types of accounts? One is root account, another one is IAM account. Root account means powerful account. With the email ID and password, we can log in into the root account. Root account will have access for everything in the AWS cloud. But in the company, can we use root account? No, company will not share the root account credentials with the team members. We are going to get only IAM account. For daily activities, we have to use only IAM account. Okay. When they are creating the IAM account, they will provide permissions for the account. That means what operations you can do, what services you can access in the AWS, that we can provide by using IAM account. If you want to log in into IAM account, root account ID is mandatory. That account ID will represent your belongs to which account in the AWS cloud. One root account can have multiple IAM accounts also. When we are creating IAM account, two types of permissions we are going to provide. One is console access, second one is programmatic access. What is the meaning of console access and programmatic access? Console access means whether that user can log in the cloud account from the browser or not. Programmatic access means by using secret keys from the projects, they can communicate with the cloud platform or not. Okay. Who is responsible to create IAM accounts in the project? DevOps people. As a developer, what is our duty? Just we need to get the IAM account and we need to log in and we need to see our work is happening as expected or not. Good. Yeah. Any questions? I did not get you. Okay. No, once a user is created, for that user credentials will be generated. Credentials will not be assigned to the user. After a user is created, for that user credentials will be generated. Administrator, DevOps administrator. Now user is created. After going to the username, here user is there. Once you go to the user, then only you will get this option. That means these credentials I am generating, these are for the Ashok user. He can generate that. He will have the access for his account, right? He can generate that. Yeah. Okay, fine guys. So with this we understood what is EC2. Can you tell me what is EC2? If you want to create virtual machines in the AWS cloud, then you can go for EC2. And we have another service called RDS. What is RDS? If you want to create the databases in the cloud, then you can go for RDS. And we have another service called IAM. What is the purpose of IAM? identity and access management. Okay. The next service is available, that is called S3. S3 stands for simple storage service. S3 stands for simple storage service. Now, what is S3? Why we need to go for S3? S3 stands for simple storage service. We can store unlimited data. We can store unlimited data in the using S3 service. Using S3 service in AWS cloud. S3 will store the data in the form of objects. S3 will store data in the form of objects. Object means a file. Object means a file. You can store any type of a file in the S3. You can store text file, PDF file, audio, video, image, Word document, okay, paint file, image files, whatever the file you want, you can store in the S3. Every file we are storing in the S3 is called as one object. S3 stands for simple storage service. We can store unlimited data using S3 service in the AWS cloud. S3 will store the data in the form of object. Object means file. So in the S3, we cannot store the objects directly. Objects should be stored by using a concept called bucket. The concept is S3 bucket. So if you want to store the data in the S3, you need to create a bucket that is called S3 bucket. You can create 100 buckets in the S3, that is the soft limit. In one bucket, you can store any number of objects, right? So this is called as bucket 1, and this is called as bucket 2, and bucket 3, bucket 4. Like this, you can create 100 buckets in the S3. For every bucket, one URL will be available. Inside that bucket, you can store the objects. Objects nothing but files. Now, let's go to S3. Go to S3. Amazon S3. Amazon S3. It comes under storage. Now, Amazon S3, store and retrieve any amount of data from anywhere. You can store any amount of data from anywhere by using S3. In the S3, they are giving 5 GB space for free of cost. You can store up to 5 GB data without paying anything. If you want to store more than that, charges will be applicable. Now, so in the S3, every object in S3 stored in a bucket. To upload files and folders to S3, you need to create a bucket where the objects will be stored. So in the S3, we are going to store the object. Object nothing but a file, not Java object, guys. So it's a file, flat file. It can be any type. Word document, text document, image, video, audio, Excel, PDF, anything you can store. But you cannot store the object directly in the S3. First, you need to create a bucket. Bucket nothing but collection of objects. Now, let me create one bucket first. Observe the settings I'm going to follow to create the bucket. Whenever you are, now you are accessing our IES application, right? Mockup screens are available for you. How you are accessing the mockup screens? I created one S3 bucket. In the S3 bucket, I have uploaded all the mockup screens. I gave the URL for you. You are seeing the mockup screens. Whatever the IES mockup screens you are accessing, those screens I kept in the S3 bucket. By using S3 bucket, we can store the objects and we can host one static website also. Our IES mockup screens static website. I have hosted that static website by using S3 service in the AWS cloud. Are you guys getting my point? Now, so let me go to Amazon S3, create a bucket. When you are creating a bucket, they're asking the name for the bucket. Remember, bucket name should be unique in the globe. So you cannot create a bucket with a name called a test because so many people already used that name. So always your bucket name should be unique. Bucket name must be globally unique, must not contain spaces or uppercase letters. Now, I'm going to create a bucket, Ashok IT new bucket 1. Now, where you want to create the bucket? In the Mumbai region, bucket ownership, ACLs enabled. Now, bucket owner, block public access for the bucket. By default, nobody can access that bucket. Settings are like that. I want the people to access my bucket. Uncheck this checkbox. Then select this. Okay. Bucket settings are available. Create the bucket. So with this, I'm able to create one bucket in the S3 with a name called Ashok IT new bucket 1. When I click on this bucket, currently in the bucket, any object is available? No, objects are not available. 0 objects are available. You can upload the objects. Click on upload, add the file or add the folder. You can add the files or you can add the folders also. Click on add the file. Suppose for example, I want to add Angular PDF. Okay, select that file, select it. Now here, there are some options available, permissions. What is the permission? Private, nobody can access my object, or grant public read access. When I give grant public read access, then what will happen? Everybody can access my object by using my object URL. Angular PDF is available, copy the URL. Now, if I give this URL, people can access my PDF document, which is available in my bucket. Okay, I'm giving this, I'm typing this URL in the browser. Go to another browser. Now, type this URL, enter. Now what happened? Am I able to access my object? Yes, we are able to access this object because my object is available as a public object. My object available as a public object. Now here, there is another option available that is called pre-signed URL. There is an option called pre-signed URL will be available. Share with the pre-signed URL. What is the meaning of pre-signed URL? Pre-signed URL means you can give access for your object for particular time period. I want to allow the people to access this URL only for the next 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, my URL will expire. So that is called pre-signed URL. Now click on share with a pre-signed URL, number of minutes, number of hours. If I give 1, click on create pre-signed URL, copy pre-signed URL. You can see the lengthy pre-signed URL that is generated. This is the URL that is generated. With that URL, you can access my document. That URL is valid only for 1 minute. After 1 minute, that URL will expire. So whenever you upload the objects in the S3, you can make the object as a public. If you make the object as a public, what is the meaning of that? What is the meaning of that? You can allow the people to access your objects by using the object's URL. How to provide limited access for our object? By using pre-signed URL. Are you guys getting my point? Yes. Now here I have, if you observe, in my S3 service, I created object manually. I created one bucket manually, and in that bucket I have uploaded one object manually. Same thing we need to do with our Java program. That is the requirement in the correspondence module in our project. So whenever correspondence module execution started, using our Spring Boot application, you need to create one bucket in the AWS cloud. Every citizen notice will be generated. Every notice is called as one object. That object we need to store into the S3 bucket. In the real time, binary data will not be stored in the databases. PDF document, image files, audio files, video files will not be stored in the database. In general, in the real time, what people will do is, now suppose for example, I have a table called CO notices table is available. CO ID, notice ID will be available, and case number will be available. Okay. Then next one, CO PDF will be available. In the PDF, as of now, in our project, what we are storing? PDF document directly we are storing in the database. But in the real time, PDF document will not be stored in the database. Our database is a relational database. What people will do is, in the S3, the PDF will be stored. PDF will be stored in the S3. Can I consider PDF as one object? Yes, PDF is called as one object. For this object, one URL will be generated. Okay. Whatever the URL is generated, that URL we are going to store in the database. Okay, guys. Actual document will be available in the S3, and that document will have a URL. That URL will be stored in the database. Tomorrow, if I want to get the PDF, first I should go to database. I should get the URL. Based on the URL, I need to download the document from the S3. That is the process we need to follow. So that is the best practice we are going to follow in the industry. Why? Because we are going for relational databases. Relational databases are not meant for storing binary data, images, audios, videos, PDF documents. If you store them, they will occupy more memory in the database. That's why any binary data like image, video, audio, those things will be stored into S3. In the S3, how much data we can store? Unlimited, in the form of object. So to store the objects, first we need to create a bucket. Now I want to understand for this case number, what is the notice? The case number notice URL will be available in the table. With that URL, we can download the PDF from the database. Now, simple example, you go for Amazon Prime. So many web series is available, so many movies available, right? So they will have a database and they will have a S3 also. So which movie you want to watch? That data they will maintain in the database table. Movie name, which year they released, who is the hero, heroine, villain, director, rating of the movie, everything will be available in the database. But when you click watch movie, for that movie, actual the video is available in the S3 bucket, because movie is a binary content. Movie is available in the S3. When you click on watch now, for that movie, what is the URL available in the S3? From the database, they will get the URL. That URL, they will download the movie from the S3 bucket. There is a point in the CO module, we need to follow the same process. Whatever the PDF we are generating, that PDF should be stored into S3 bucket. After storing the PDF into S3 bucket, it will generate one URL for the PDF. Now you see, I have created one bucket. In that bucket, I uploaded one document manually. So what option we are getting? Copy URL. So this is the URL that is generated. That URL we are going to store into our database table. So whenever you want to download that file from the database, I need to get the URL. With that URL, I will download the object from the S3 bucket. Now you see, in our major project architecture, in the CO API, what I mentioned, AWS S3. Why CO API will communicate with the AWS S3? To store our PDF document. So we need to create one bucket. In that bucket, we need to upload our PDF files. So to do that, AWS SDK is required. Our Java application should communicate with the AWS cloud. If Java application want to communicate with the AWS cloud, S3 bucket is required. Are you guys getting my point? Now, so in the S3, we are able to create the object. Sorry, we are able to create the bucket and we are able to upload the object. Now, if you have any static web pages, if you want to go for any static website, you can host your static website by using S3 bucket. For example, you want to create one small website with a static content. HTML, CSS, JavaScript technologies are available. You no need to purchase a separate server to run your application if it is static. If it is static, you no need to go for a separate server. If you want to run a static website, you can go for S3. In the S3, you can host one static website also. You can host one static website by using S3. So let us see how to do that. Let me go for my GitHub. In the GitHub, I have given one static website content. Okay. Go to repositories. In the repositories, there is an option called S3 static website hosting. Open this. What is available? Index.html available, error.html available, assets. Inside the assets, CSS, JavaScript images are available. Let me copy this URL. Let me clone that into my directory. Okay, click on this GitHub. I want to clone the repository from the GitHub. Git bash git clone URL. Yeah, I'm getting the static content that is required for my website. Okay, I downloaded this. Let me go for index.html, open with browser. Now you can see my website is loaded. Okay, so now this website is just a static website which contains some dummy data. So there are several HTML pages are available. If I run the website in the local, only I can access. Now I want everybody to access my website. For that I can go for S3. This concept is called hosting static website by using S3. See here, hosting static website using S3. Okay, so that everybody can access your website by using your website URL. Everybody can access your website by using website URL. Okay, let me do this. Go to S3. I want to create one more bucket. Observe carefully. I'm going to create one bucket. In that bucket, I will upload all my content that is required for the website. Then I will generate a URL for my website. Observe. Go to S3. There are already 3 buckets available. IES app is available. That is our major project mockup screen bucket. Now click on create bucket. In this bucket, I'm creating Ashok IT website. Okay, that is the name I am giving for the bucket. ACLs enabled. I want to control the permission. Block all public access. By default, it is not accessible for the public. Let me uncheck this. Agree. I want to access my bucket content by the public users. Now that's it. Observe. I'm giving name for the bucket. Bucket name I am giving ACLs enabled. Then uncheck the public access. Agree for that. Then click on create bucket. My bucket is created. Currently in this bucket, Ashok IT website bucket, any content available? Any objects available? No objects. Now I want to upload my content. My content is available. 2 HTML pages are available and 1 folder is available. In that folder, subfolders are available. In that, sub content is available. Okay. So now I'm going to this bucket. There is an option called upload. Option is there. Do you want to add the file? Do you want to add the folder? I have the files and I have the folders also. Click on add files. Now go to JRTP folder. JRTP. Here GitHub, hosting, index.html, error.html. First I have selected my files. Then I have a folder. Click on add folder. What is the folder name? Assets. Now select it. In that folder, there are so many files are available. All those files are added. Files plus folders are available. Select all of them. I want to upload all these objects into my S3 bucket. When you are uploading destination details, that is fine, and permission. This is important, guys. By default, your objects are private access. Outside people cannot access. It is a website. Everybody should be able to access. So I'm going to provide public access for that. I understand the risk of giving the public access. Click on upload. Yes, there are so many files are available. So it is taking time to upload the files into my S3 bucket. Once my bucket is ready with the content, now I will set up a website with those files. Now observe, uploaded successful, close. Now you see there are index.html file, error.html file, assets directory available. In the assets, the required files are supporting files are available. Now once it is done, observe, I created a bucket. In that bucket, I have uploaded my website content. The website content I have taken from the GitHub. So the GitHub repository name, S3 static website hosting. Okay. So all this content we are giving for the DevOps people. They are going to understand what is website, how to host a website, how to generate the URL for the people, how to deliver the project to the client. We are going to explain them in the DevOps. Okay. Now my bucket is ready. In that bucket, my objects are ready. Now what I want to do? I want to make all this content as one website. I want to generate one URL so that everybody can access my website. Okay. For this, go to the object, go to the bucket which contains your objects required for the website. Then go to properties, scroll down. At the end, there is an option called static website hosting. Click on edit. Now, by default, static website hosting is disabled. Now I need to click on enable. Now, what is the option they are asking? Host a static website. What is the home page of your website? My website home page is index.html. Let me give that. Website home page, I'm giving that as index.html. What is the error page? If some problem occurred in the website, if they type some wrong URL, then which page you want to load? For that, already I have uploaded one file with a name called error.html. This is index.html and this is my error.html. So specify error.html. That's it. Now click on save changes. When I save the changes, it generated URL for my website. Okay. Now this URL I can give for anyone, online people. Can you access this URL and check it? Are you able to access my website? This is the URL. For IES application also, I have given the same URL like this. So that is the static website I have hosted with the mock-up screens, everybody able to access. Right. Is AWS charging anything for that? AWS not charging anything for that because 5 GB space is free of cost in the S3. Online students, are you able to access the URL? Yes. So with this, what we understood? What is S3? What is the bucket? How to host one static website by using S3. Now there is a problem. When you want to develop a website, okay, if it is a dynamic website, then you need to go for the server, database and all. If it is a static website, S3 service is sufficient to host the static website. But there is a problem. What is the URL of the website? What is the URL of the website? Small URL or lengthy URL? Lengthy URL. Can customers remember this lengthy URL? Customers cannot remember this lengthy URL. Then what we need to do? We need to short that URL and we need to map to our domain name. www.facebook.com, www.gmail.com, www.irctc.com, ashokit.com, ashokit.in. So like this, youtube.com. So here, whenever we deploy our website, okay, a lengthy URL will be generated. But we cannot share that lengthy URL to the customers. Customers also cannot remember that lengthy URL. Then we need to go for DNS. We need to map our application URL to domain name. Okay. Now what I want to do is, whatever the URL is available, www.someabc.com. So I need to purchase this domain. Whenever you access this URL in the browser, automatically your request should be redirected to this website URL that we need to perform. To do that operation in the AWS, there is a service available. That service is called as Route 53. What is the name of the service, guys? Route 53. Scalable DNS and domain name registration. Okay. You need to go for a service called Route 53. In the Route 53, we need to purchase a domain. Now see here, registered domains. Currently, in this AWS account, any domain is registered. Currently, domains are not registered. You need to purchase a domain. Once you purchase a domain, then you can map our website to the domain. Are you guys able to follow me? Now see here, registered domain is available. Enter the domain name. For example, if you type Ashok IT, is the domain is available or not? They're saying that ashokit.com domain is not available. Somebody already has taken that domain. But we have ashokit.net, okay, ashokit.biz, ashokit.tv, like that the domains are available. So when you want to purchase the domain, the pricing will be available. If you want to take ashokit.net, then $11 you need to pay per year. So if you need to purchase a domain, then you need to map your application URL to the domain. The pricing model will be different based on the extensions. Okay. If you go for .org, one pricing will be available. If you for a .com, one pricing will be available. .in, .xyz, .tv, .gym, .institute. So based on the extension, the domain charges will be available. The least charge for the domain with the .xyz, ashokit.xyz. For that, per year, $5 is the charge. Okay, guys. If you want to go for .com domain, minimum charge is $12. For .com, $12 will be available. For .xyz, 5. 5 is the least amount that we can use to purchase a domain in the cloud platform. So once we purchase the domain, that will take 1 to 2 hours of time to activate. Once our domain got activated, then we need to link our website URL to the domain. Then when you send the request to the domain name, that will be redirected to your website. Now you see Ashok IT website is available. ashokitech.com is available. This is application URL or this is my domain name? This is my domain name. My application URL is different. When I send the request to this URL, my application is loading. That means that the domain is mapped to my application URL. When you send the request to the URL, the domain name, domain will redirect your URL request to the actual application. That is called DNS mapping. In order to perform the DNS mapping in the AWS, there is a service called Route 53 service is available. Are you guys clear? Yes. What is S3 and what is Route 53? Come on. S3 stands for Simple Storage Service, which is used for storing unlimited data. Storing for unlimited data. In the S3, we are going to store the data in the form of object. Okay. Can I store the object directly in the S3? No. What I need to do? I need to create a bucket. Inside the bucket, I need to upload the object. For every bucket, for every object, URL will be available. Can I host one static website by using S3? Yes, we can host one static website also by using S3. Okay. What is the purpose of Route 53? What is the purpose of Route 53? Yeah. So that is used to map our application URL to the domain name. So first you need to purchase a domain, then we need to map our application to the domain. Okay. No, it is for anything. Not only for static website. You can map the domain name to static website URL, or you can map to your IP address also. Spring Boot application we are running, that is having IP address. You can map the domain name to your IP address also. When you access that domain, your Spring Boot application will be loaded. Yeah, that IP address is there, na? You can map it. All of you able to run boot application in the Linux? Working? Don't use database properties. You need, because in the database properties, what you mentioned, localhost. In the Linux, the database is not available. That's why it will not work. Then you can configure it will work then. Yes. The reason is, if you have database properties now, if you run that API in the local, it will work because in your local database available. But when you run that API in the Linux, the database is not available. That's why it will not work. You need to go with either RDS or you should remove that database connection. Then only it will work. You delete it, otherwise bill will generate. No. RDS is chargeable. I told yesterday, it is a commercial service. Delete it. It will not visible. You, whatever you enter, they will take it. That is not visible due to security constraint. You need to use the token instead of the password. Generate token. No. So process is same. The only thing is wherever they ask you what I say, password, in that instead of the password, you need to enter the token. In the developer settings, I have shown you how to generate the token. Go to your repositories, sorry, go to settings, developer settings, personal access token, tokens. Yeah, generate a new token. So once you generate the token, you will copy the token, right? Wherever they ask the password, you copy the token, you right click, that will be pasted. That's it. Yeah, you bring your laptop, I will check that. Any other questions, anyone? Yeah, we'll meet that, we'll discuss. Guys, I want you to practice IAM S3 services today. I want you people to host a static website by using S3. Okay. Yeah. Any other doubts, anyone? Online people? You can existing domain, if you have, you need to transfer the domain to the AWS. Then you can map it. If your domain is outside of AWS, you can't do that. You need to transfer your domain to the AWS register. Then you can map your application to the existing domain. Okay, fine. Good, guys. So with this, I'm stopping for now. We'll continue in the tomorrow session. You can regenerate the token, Nehar. If your token is expired, you can regenerate the token. Yeah. Calls are not coming. मैं क्या करूँ भाई?